Alright, what's up, guys? It is finally time for me to do what I call the review, recap, and ranking of all of the albums that I picked up during 2024. I've already done this for the EPs, and I throw in two re-recorded versions of previously existing albums. I felt like worked better for putting into that than putting into album ranking, since it's not any actual new music. But yeah, so right here I have, I believe, 6 vinyls, 2 CDs. I got the CDs stacked on top just for convenience, but they're kind of intermixed into my ranking, so hopefully I won't fuck that up. But starting off with what I consider to be the weakest albums that were released this year, working my way up to the strongest. And yeah, my absolute bottom has got to be Vinous Casino 2. This album was really tough for me to listen to and really accept. But Vinous Casino is a band that most notably features Dennis Lyxzén of Refused playing guitar and sharing lead vocals with 2 other members. Their first album, which was released, I believe, 2 years ago, in my opinion, was one of the best punk albums released in the last 20 years. Had kind of a noisy, unpolished direction. It reminded me of Sonic Youth a good deal, particularly with the guitar tones, production, and the way how the vocalists were all sharing vocals. Thomas looks like he might be jumping in my lap soon, so I'm moving this vinyl just in case he does that. But and I kind of feel like a lot of times when, a band puts out, and sure enough, he's joining me in a video for first time in a good long while. How you doing, Thomas? But yeah, I feel like whenever a band puts out a really strong album like that, it kind of gets you built up for what comes next in an unreasonable way. And maybe that's the case with this. It is kind of hard for me to tell for me personally, but this album is just way too polished, I think. I really like the raw energy that they had in their previous album. The guitar work on this is kind of interesting in a way. It's very busy. It's not like in your face shredding, but I'd say it kind of feels more like they have 2 lead guitars more than your traditional rhythm and lead guitar. But it reminds me a little bit too much of another band that's local to my area, so most people's not going to know about them. But it reminds me of a band called Ego Death a lot, and I kind of feel like Ego Death does that style of guitar playing better than what's on here. So that's again, maybe just kind of an unfortunate thing that's just for me, that this kind of sounds kind of like a crappier version of Ego Death to me. But that's my thoughts on the new Vinous Casino album. Next up, we have Pixies. I can't remember what this is called. The Night the Zombies Came. This album I feel pretty neutral about. Honestly, I wasn't really planning on picking it up this year. I haven't really been keeping up with Pixies' more recent stuff from the last 2 decades or so. Mainly after Bossa Nova, I haven't really been keeping up with them. Not necessarily saying it's bad. It's just I haven't really been keeping up with them. I think it's fairly agreeable to say that they're past their prime. But I mean, this is a decent, okay. I mean, it's definitely not better than what I more actively listen to from them. It's more laid back. It's chill. One thing that particularly stood out to me, Black Francis or whatever. Okay, yeah, he's going about Black Francis. I know he kind of changes his stage name fairly often, but his voice has just aged really well. I mean, it obviously doesn't have the raspy dynamics of his youth, but I mean, it just has really nice tone. It's a lot more laid back sounding. I thought that was pretty cool. So, all right, now we're getting into some albums I'm considerably more excited to talk about. First up, in this kind of what I consider to be the higher end of music that was released this year, we have from The Problem Child, Gas Draw. So 2 artists that I keep up with this year released 2 full-length albums each. So this was the second album that The Problem Child put out this year. In addition to that, he also put out an EP. This was his first project that he released that was fully self-produced. I kind of feel like, in terms of production, it's kind of a mixture of playing it safe and fucking around and finding out. So it's kind of a little booklet almost slipped out. So it's kind of a little bit all over the place. And I'll say, admittedly, not quite as strong as what I think most of his other stuff is. However, it does have one of my all-time favorite songs that he's put out, which is "Shut Up," which has this, like, really aggressive beat, and the vocals are just all unhinged, and it has a hilarious montage of different clips from movies of just characters just yelling "Shut Up," and I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, overall, this is still, I'd say, a pretty strong album. Just in terms of all the rest of his music, it's not my favorite of his, but I mean, it's still pretty cool. I will say, in terms of the production, one thing I do want to mention, as I said, he put out an EP as well this year. That EP was also self-produced, but I feel like there was a significant improvement in production between those two. Everything in terms of the production on the EP, having trouble saying that, EP, it had a lot more intention, I would say. Everything felt like it was exactly how it needed to be. Nothing more and nothing less. And it's something that I really wish was expanded into a full-length album, but this album's still, solid for what it is. The other band that I keep up with that put out 2 albums this year is The Smile. So here we have what I consider the weakest of 2 albums they put out, Wall of Eyes. I kind of feel like, if I can be honest, the most ideal version of these 2 albums that they put out would have actually been to cut maybe 3 or 4 songs between the 2 of them and then just combine into one more lengthy album. I've kind of come to realize The Smile has kind of a high ceiling and a low floor. They're definitely more on the higher end more than the lower end, but I mean, they do have a fair number of songs I consider to be pretty weak. A lot of the more what I'd describe as Beatles-esque ballads, I kind of feel like isn't really the strongest direction. This album has a few more weaker songs than their other release. But like I said, when they're doing strong, they're doing strong. Next up, this is a band that I discovered at a live show this year. And I ended up picking up this album, and I didn't really realize that it had just been recently released, but from She He He, we have Name Droppers. This kind of a punk band, very melodic, very vocal driven, but I wouldn't describe it as pop punk. Think more like kind of like Joan Jett meets the Beach Boys, very vocal driven. All 3 of their members are singing, lots of harmonies, lots of call and response style vocals. So we have it on green vinyl. I remember there was a color option. I think I went with green because it matches our hair. I like little ways where there's color connection like that, and it has this hilarious little poster that parodies Mirage, the Fleetwood Mac album. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, kind of funny thing. So I mean, this had more of the songs that I've recognized. I think this was, the album they played most of the songs from for the show that I went to. But they threw in a CD as just kind of a freebie, an older CD, and I ended up enjoying that CD more. But I mean, this album's still pretty cool. Definitely would recommend checking out She He He. I have their other albums on the way now because I was kind of going on a kick between this album and their other album more recently. I decided it's finally time for me to get the rest of their stuff. Now these next, I mean, obviously these are my top 3, but I'm really thrilled about these nonetheless. But from Pedro the Lion, we have Santa Cruz. So if you haven't been keeping up with Pedro the Lion's more recent stuff, he's been kind of going through all the different cities that he's lived in, kind of an autobiographical series of albums that he's putting out right now. And in my opinion, this is one of the best albums that he's put out in a pretty good long time, possibly all-time best. I really like the splatter color on this. But yeah, it's been compared to a more obscure project of his, David Bazan, that is called Headphones, which is like his synth pop one-off project. This one definitely has, a lot more guitar than Headphones, but I mean, I still loved Headphones, and I love this album too. Most notable for him focusing on playing drums. Let's see. He has kind of a rotating cast of other musicians that he's working with. Let me see. Yeah, David Bazan stuck to synth and drums on this. He didn't play any guitar, and I don't think there's any electric bass on this at all, actually. So, and it's not particularly in your face. I mean, I'd say at the heart of this, I mean, this is still a guitar-driven rock album, but I do kind of love the more synth-heavy direction that he took on this album. Then, like I said, Smile put out another album, Cut Out. So once again, like I said, good mix of highs and lows. But I mean, with Wall of Eyes, it's kind of hard for me to ignore the weaknesses of it. For Cutouts, it's kind of hard for me to ignore the strengths of it, so that's why I consider Cutouts to be a stronger album and one of the strongest albums of the year, despite, like I said, handful of glaring weaknesses. Probably the main one that stands out to me, I find the lyrics to, what was the song titled? Zero Sum. I found that kind of cheesy, all this, technological references, and, Windows 90, using the words of Windows 95 as a hook, just isn't a very strong hook, I don't think. But Johnny Greenwood's guitar work is strong as ever, and as a pre-order bonus, I got a print of the album cover, which, I don't know, I don't really see the point of it, if I can be honest, but it came with it. I'm not going to complain. I'll just keep it in with the album, but, oh boy. I'm not gonna, okay, there it goes. It's cooperating. All right, and my number one album of the year, as I said, The Problem Child put out 2 albums. That would be Fire Crush, the first album that he put out this year. And I am friends with him, so he did a lot of cool personalizations within its packaging, so that's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, I mean, I just really love this album. Really strong production. His raps are strong as ever. He's a rapper from California. I originally discovered during my art collecting days, but then he shifted his focus back to music about the same time I shifted my focus back to collecting music, so that was kind of convenient. But yeah, I mean, just to name some highlights, I mean, really everything is a highlight. Fire Crush, I Don't Give a Fuck has become something of a personal theme song of mine. There's a hidden bonus track on that he made with his daughter. I can't remember. I know she's still quite young, but I can't remember her actual age or when she was born. But it's a pretty cute, sweet track on here. And yeah, I just really fucking love this album from Problem Child. So yeah, that is all the music that got released this year that I ended up picking up, and my ranking of them. So yeah, I don't think I currently got anything shipping, but you never know about that. Concert footage, I'm taking a slight break from. Mainly, I don't think I'm going to be going to any shows next weekend, but I'll probably go to something the weekend after that. So I'll probably get more live footage after that. And yeah, I'll see y'all whenever the next time I post is.